Hello and welcome to the Beginner's Tatting video series. Today I got a couple of things I want to go over with you and show you. One is how to use stabilizer threads in your tatting. Okay, the other thing is I wanted to tell you, I know I promised to tat along by Monday on a pattern that we had done in the online class. Cynthia Stevenson created the pattern, and she has not got the pattern up for public release yet, and as soon as she can get that up, I will be able to do the tat along. She has requested the tat along, but until you have access to print it out on your own, I would prefer to not have the tat along up, because if you can't print out the pattern, you can't follow along with what I'm doing. And I know that a lot of my viewers out there, they don't have time to sit through a 45-minute video. They'll use my videos as, I need to know what she did at this particular point, you know. So I would just prefer to hold up on making the tat along until Cynthia can get the pattern ready for public release. So until then, I'm going to show you how to use stabilizer threads in your block tatting to keep it aligned, okay? And maybe this will help encourage you to do more patterns that have block tatting in them, all right? Now, one of the things I do want to mention is in some Clooney leaves, I've seen them use stabilizer threads, okay, in order to get the leaves to shape properly for a specific use. So this will come in handy in many, many, many forms, all right? So let's get on with it. What you need to do is get you a piece of thread that is the same size as the thread you're tatting with. All right, we're using Aunt Lydia's size 10 crochet cotton in the purple and lavender. This is the block tatting I taught you the other day, okay, on the last video. Now, the stabilizer thread is Aunt Lydia's size 10 crochet cotton in white. I chose the white so that you could see what I'm doing, okay? The stabilizer thread does not show, but if something should happen and things get stiff, or excuse me, if things get, loosened up or whatever, you might see it. So what I choose to do when I use stabilizer threads in my tatting, I use them to match the color of the thread. Okay, and as you progress learning this technique, you will be able to use the same color thread, but to practice with, I would use a separate color just so you can see how it's going in there, what's going on, learn the technicalities of it, because it's very, very useful in tightening up your work. Okay, making everything uniform, especially with block tatting and Clooney's. It really, really helps. All right, so on that note, here's what we've got. We have our pattern here, and on this pattern, the main line across here is 5 double stitches. Remember, we have the 1 double stitch before the picot that brings it up a level. Well, on this row, we're going to put 6 double stitches, because what we're going to come up with is a triangle. We're going to widen, and every time you step out, you widen. In order to step out, you add a double stitch. Same thing with crochet, knitting, and other needlework. You want it wider, you step out with extra stitches. Okay? So, given that, here we're going. All right, to use our stabilizer thread, we take the thread, we fold it in half, all right? And we have a little loop. See the loop? There's our loop. The other end, we have our tails, all right? What I like to do is try to keep the tails even, all right? Because this is gonna weave all the way up the side of the piece, all right? So here we go. Now we're on what we've got on this chain here is we've got our turning double stitch, our little picot, and we've got 4 double stitches. We still need 2 more. So we're going to put our stabilizer thread. I had to think for a second, for a minute. The word just flew right out of my head. I do that every once in a while. My brain gets faster than me. A lot of things are faster than me these days. Alright, wrap our hand for our chain. Okay? We've got our stabilizer thread behind our work. That's what we want. Now what we're going to do is the first half of that double stitch. Do our flip. Okay? Take our little hook. If you don't have a hook on the end of your shuttle, crochet hook is fine. But this is where the hook on the shuttle really comes in handy. Now what you want to do is put that like this. See how I've brought it behind the work? Roll it over. Okay? Then slide that stitch down and really pull it tight, because you don't want to show a deviation in your stitches. Okay? So really pull on that tight. Now, we're going to put in the second half of that double stitch, and we're going to come up the back here. Alright, so we're going to reach through our loop, pull that through. Well, as you can see, it twisted back around the core thread and over. Can you see that? How it did that? The lavender is our core thread. The white is our stabilizer. I knew it would come. I just knew it would. And the stabilizer thread wraps over that core thread. And that's what you want. You're weaving this in. And again, when you pull that stitch down, you want to pull it a little tighter than normal so that your stitches will still look even. Okay? Now we have one more that we have to put in to finish this row out. And all we have to do now, because our stabilizer thread is caught up with our core thread, is just pull the stabilizer through. Alright? Do the second half of that double stitch and bring our stabilizer thread through our loop. And it's done. Pull that down tight. We want everything tight. Now, here is the fun part. Okay, all along we've been weaving this stabilizer thread around and around and around. Well, you're going to end up with your stabilizer thread on the front side. You want to make it on the back side. So what you do is just pull it back. See how I'm holding it? Pull it back behind your work and pull it down. It will bring it down to the back side. Okay? And that's what you want. Now, what you're going to do is fold this over. Okay? Get your stabilizer threads out of the way. Put them behind the work. Fold your work over and find your picot. Here is your picot right there. See it? So we're going to go under our picot. Okay? Sometimes the hook on the shuttle works, sometimes it doesn't with this. If it don't, grab you a crochet hook. Loop that thread. Make sure you get the whole piece of thread, not part of it. Don't want to break them plies. Okay? If you're having difficulties, use a crochet hook. Can't stress that enough. Don't fight, don't fidget. But you want it to come through right. Once you get your thread pulled through, you want to tighten it up. Lay everything into place where it's supposed to go before we do our lock join. Okay? Pull it down, pull it down. Now we're going to do that lock join. Okay? You see what I'm doing? Coming up from the bottom of that loop. Okay? And going to lock it down. Alright? If you got a twist in that loop, pull it out. Now we've got it. Okay, now we're going back the other way. Remember the stabilizer thread tails? They're gonna come back into play. Okay, so you want them over here. Your loop is still back here. Okay, so we're going to do the first half. Remember, we're going back, so we're not flipping our stitches. So we're going to do the second half of a double stitch as our first half of the stitch. We're not going to flip this. If we can keep it from flipping, we're doing good. It's wanting to flip. Let's get that straight now. We're backing out. Let's do it. Okay, got it pulled down. Now you want this stabilizer thread to follow that core thread. So what you're going to do is weave it through there. Okay, and then pull your stitch down. You will have to adjust. Just remember, it's only 2 stitches that it's going to be a problem. Okay, you've got more fingers, utilize them. That's what I do. Now, once you get that down, you want to pull it tight. Okay, you want your stitches tight. You can adjust that stabilizer thread. Right here where you can see a little white, it's going to pop out. Don't worry about it. We'll get it out of there once we get everything in place. Alright? Now we're going to do the second half of that stitch without flipping. If I can do this without flipping, I am in business. Pull that stabilizer thread up through the loop. Okay, pull your loop down into position and tighten it up. Alright, you see, no more white showing. Now we've done the first stitch to step up to the next level. Now we need to put that picot in, that little picot. Don't flip, don't flip. Okay. Make sure you get your stabilizer threads in. You want them to follow that core thread. Okay. Pull it in there tight after you make sure you get your picot in. Okay, now these stabilizer threads, when working a difficult pattern, you want them to be on both sides. Some patterns just one side required, but if you're doing something that you really want it stable and tight, my advice is do it on both sides. Okay, there's the second half of that stitch after the picot. You see the white part? That's our picot. Can you see that? Now what you're going to do is pull everything tight and slide that down. Your picot is in place. Grab a crochet hook. Open that picot up just a little bit. Okay, because you can lose it with this stabilizer thread. Alright, it's in there. You see it? There's our picot. Now, the stabilizer thread is under these 2 last stitches and these 2 first stitches of the next row. We're done with it. Put it out of the way, at least for now. Okay, now continue on. We're going to have 4 more double stitches because remember, we're stepping up. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, now we want to join on this side with this chain that we just made. Okay? So we're going to lay it over there, line everything up, pull it over, and we're going to grab that picot right there. Going to grab the thread, the dark purple, pull it up. Okay. Tighten it down, and it's in. Tighten everything up, and your stabilizer thread is in. Okay, and what it does, you see how it straightened that up, how this is curved, it straightened this up. You see that? Now your next row, when you come back, the last 2 stitches, you're going to pick up these 2 tails on the last 2 stitches, and you're going to go up until you run out of stabilizer thread, and you can keep pulling that stabilizer thread through. All right, watch what I'm doing. Do it gently. You don't want to pull it out. And then once you get your pattern completed, then all you do is snip your ends. Your stabilizer thread is in there, okay? It's tight, it's not going nowhere, and once you snip the ends, it's not going to come out. It's just like tying off or weaving your ends in, okay? Tatting over tails, okay? So there it is. That's the gist of the stabilizer threads. They're real easy to, you know, help with problem sources like this. You want to straighten it up, okay? And once you get the hang of it, it gets easier as you use them. But they're real helpful with block tatting, especially if you're going to expand the width. Remember, anything over 5 inches or 5 double stitches needs stabilizers to hold everything in place. All right, now when the tag along is ready, if you are a subscriber, it should let you know, and when it comes out, try it. I think you're gonna like this pattern. Okay, so until next time, happy tatting, have a great day, and thank you so much for watching.